we bring the world to Tanzania.
Completion of SGR project on track. Good evening, I am Faida Ngaga. You can also follow us live via our YouTube channel, TBC Online. Also get all the latest news through our Instagram, Facebook and Twitter pages at TBC Online. More than 1,200 health professionals and medical students from more than 100 countries are expected to attend the 17th International Christian Medical and Dental Association World Congress, which is expected to be held for 5 days at the Arusha International Conference Center, AICC. The AICC Executive Director, Ephraim Mafuru, says it is the first time that the meeting is being held in Tanzania and the second time in Africa, targeting to share experiences in the health sector. It's a report by Garayai Olekimosa, read to you by Lulua Mohammed.
Tanzania hosting the 17th International Christian Medical and Dental Association ICMDA World Congress signals a great victory for conference tourism in Tanzania, as many other countries like Nigeria and Canada were competing to get a chance to host it.
This meeting has ever happened in this country and is happening in the African continent for the second time. As we recall, our president, Her Excellency Madam President Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, working with the TTB, they developed a fantastic campaign or documentary called The Royal Tour. This documentary opened up our lovely, great country, Tanzania, to the world and is a testimony of our flagship campaign of AICC called We Bring the World to Tanzania.
Since its establishment in 1978, AICC was given a task of promoting the business and conference tourism, and now AICC is said to be one of the best meeting centers in Africa, bringing various economic benefits to the country.
And just for your information, conference tourism contributes a lot towards the national GDP. Data from ICA, which is an association of convention centers in the world, shows that when a delegate comes to Africa, the average spend is $290, which is equivalent to 700,000 Tanzania shillings. But when they come to Tanzania, the average spend goes up to 423, equivalent to 1 million Tanzania shillings.
Dr. Elichilia Shao is the chairman of the Tanzania Christian Medical and Dental Association, TCMDA. Here he says the goal of the meeting is to share experiences in the health sector, and also it is a chance to promote tourism in the country.
And why are we interested to bring all those people? And as it has been explained, more than 1,200 participants. They are coming across the globe, and they are coming from different culture and different experience and skills. So we want also to exchange and share skills between international partners in Tanzania, so that we improve the health service at Tanzania, so that instead of sending people outside of the country for treatment, we prefer that we get experts across the globe who are coming to Tanzania.
A city to accommodate 3,000 people, a 5-star hotel, new modern car parking, supermarkets and high-quality restaurants, and it intends to raise Tanzania's position from 5th place to 3rd in Africa.
The Minister of Finance and Planning, Dr. Mwigulu Nchemba, says Standard Chartered Bank is in the final stages to secure funds for the remaining parts of the modern standard gauge railway SGR from Makutupora to Tabora, Tabora to Isaka, Isaka to Mwanza, and Tabora to Kigoma. Apasia Ringo has more.
Minister of Finance and Planning Dr. Mwigulu Nchemba made the revelation when he met and held talks with the Chief Executive Officer of the Standard Chartered Bank in charge of Africa and Middle East, Sunil Kaushal. Dr. Nchemba says Tanzania and the Standard Chartered Bank have been collaborating in the implementation of various projects, including the railway project, which progresses well.
The Railway is a priority project of the government led by Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan. She has always been asking us what stage we have reached in this negotiation. So we will.
On the other hand, Tanzania for its economic management and adds that the nation has many investment opportunities compared to it.
For all the hard work that you are well positioned to really invest into the country.
The Fuernaturkunde Museum in Berlin, Germany. This museum has preserved the remains of Tanzania's largest dinosaur, discovered of more than 150 million years old, and is believed to have large animals. He also visited the Berlin Wall, which was built by the German Democratic Republic East Berlin, by the European Union. The call targets Tanzania. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Faida. Thank you for having me tonight.
So briefly tell us about this call for funding and the criteria that one should have in order to apply.
Thank you. So the call that we have issued this year is this is a second round, which is a follow-on the first one, which we did for 2.6 billion. So for the criteria that we are looking at, we are looking for innovative startups, innovative SMEs. These are businesses which use innovations in how they do their business. We are looking for them to be Tanzania-owned majority by 51% at least, but they also need to show how innovative they are. They also need to demonstrate the scalability potential and their business viability. But most of all, we want them to show how impactful they can be, how much impact can they create in the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Yes.
So how crucial now is it to the economy and to development for the Funguo program to fund local innovators and SMEs?
Well, interesting. So when we look in the census which was just conducted in the past year, we noticed that over 77% of Tanzanians are below the age of 35, which is categorized as youth. Even with that demography, we noticed that 50% are below the age of 18. And we also noticed that in every academic year, we are producing about 1 million of unemployment around youth. So what Funguo is doing, we are capacitating and incentivize businesses to grow, to scale. And by doing so, they are able to employ more people. That means they employ themselves and also increase livelihood, and that's beneficial to the economy.
So somehow it's going to solve the unemployment problem?
Yes, we are going to do our bit by solving the unemployment problem around it.
So how do you now make sure that the funds that are provided to the people are used accordingly and they make an impact?
Well, we have looked at that, and on the Funguo side of things, we are doing that through looking at three processes. First, the way we have designed the call, we designed it in a way that it's very difficult for an applicant to cheat, because it prompts questions which require you to explain and provide evidence. That's one part. Second part, on the contracting, the due diligence, we will verify that whatever you said you are doing or you have submitted in the application, we have to actually see or feel or even provide tangible evidence. So that is cross-checking. But on the contracting bit of it, the way we contract our grants, we use a tool we call a performance-based agreement, whereby applicants, we have agreed milestones. When they achieve a certain milestone is when they unlock funding. So they won't be just getting funding, they'll be getting funding based on the contract of agreed milestones. So that way we are able to follow up and make sure that we provide funding to the right applicants.
With few words, what do you say now to people who may be reluctant to apply to such opportunities when they arise?
Well, this is an opportunity for a lifetime. So with Funguo, you're not getting just funding. With Funguo, you are getting opportunities beyond funding, because once you're in the Funguo program, apart from the funding, we provide other support services that will help your business to grow. But not only that, we provide you linkages to a bigger network of funders and other business development services. So we have seen this impact to the cohort in the first round. Businesses have managed to raise more funding beyond Funguo. They've got more services, which help their business to grow. So I would encourage everybody to take this opportunity, seize the moment, apply. The call is still open.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mboyeke. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Now let's have a look at other stories. Tanzania and the government of Oman have completed a document of agreement to facilitate approvals of employment contracts for citizens of one country to have an opportunity for decent jobs, holidays and pension benefits in another country. It's a report by Henry Mabumo, read to you by Lulua Muhammad.
The government has started to explore ways to secure decent jobs for the population in various countries, including Oman. Professor Jamal Kitundu is the Permanent Secretary, Prime Minister's Office, Labour, Youth Employment and Persons with Disabilities, and after the agreement, he further explains the intention of the government.
The main goal is to ensure that we create enough decent employment opportunities. If the contract we prepare is approved by both parties, it will be able to create jobs for both countries. Also, we insist on looking at the work standards of the ILO in our country. We have gone far, and our office looks more at social protection.
The head of the legal department of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Oman, Suleiman Al-Jabri, says that the two governments will protect rights of workers to honor and strengthen bilateral relations.
Oman and Tanzania will protect rights by establishing workers' rights and by establishing procedures to strengthen relations in agreements that touch different areas that we want to reach.
Ambassador Fatma Rajabu is the Deputy Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and East African Cooperation, and here she mentions the employment opportunities that will be obtained through the agreement.
The opportunities that will be available are those of skills, small jobs and various jobs that will come up. We know at the moment there is a challenge of employment in Tanzania, and through this, opportunities will be found in Oman for young people to do formal and informal jobs. It is a guide that will open the field to ensure that our goal of providing young people and those with disabilities jobs to develop their economy. It is a great opportunity to us, and it is one of the strategies that Tanzania has put in place.
In the agreement, the two governments have agreed to creation of a special committee to deal with labor disputes that will arise in a diplomatic manner by involving the labor laws of the respective country.
Now let's have a look at the health sector, where the Executive Director of the Ocean Road Cancer Institute, Julius Mwaisilage, says Tanzania is one of the countries in the world that is doing well in researches to control skin cancer, namely Kaposi's sarcoma, and providing modern treatments. He made the revelation in Dar es Salaam during the 25th International Conference organized by Institute in collaboration with various countries, aiming to discuss the best way to fight the disease. Emmanuel Samuel has more.
Kaposi's Sarcoma Conference 2023 is the first conference series to be held in Africa, and here the Executive Director of the Ocean Road Cancer Institute, Julius Mwaisilage, explains the efforts made by Tanzania to control the disease.
Kaposi sarcoma is a disease that ranks number 4 in our country, and 10% of the patients who arrive at the Ocean Road Institute suffer from this disease. The number of patients is decreasing in our country, and we are making efforts for patients to be recognized at early stages using the modern equipment.
Professor Patrick Moore from the University of Pittsburgh from the United States elaborates how he discovered the cause of the disease 30 years ago, and until now, a vaccine has not yet been found, while people living with the AIDS virus are said to be at higher risk of contracting the disease.
30 years ago, we found that we could take the DNA from a tumor called Kaposi sarcoma and pull out the DNA that was unique to a virus that we call KSHV. And this virus causes this cancer. Now, that's very unusual, and it's not widely known, but viruses can cause cancer, and this is one of those viruses that does. In the setting of HIV, when people have HIV, then they're at very high risk.
In addition, Professor Moore believes that the Kaposi Sarcoma International Conference being held here for the first time will bring productivity in fighting the disease, a statement supported by some participants of the conference.
We are very hopeful that we're initiating plans to develop a vaccine. And it's a vaccine that, if it's implemented, could be preventing this terrible cancer from occurring. And it would be most useful to the peoples of Eastern and Southeastern Africa.
So this conference is helping us think about things we can do to get the patients in early, to think about maybe how we can improve the treatment, because it's the virus that causes the cancer.
So what's been really great about this meeting is that we meet other researchers, especially from other African countries. For example, I've just spoken to a researcher from Malawi who might be doing similar studies to me, and we can set up collaborations.
Approximately more than 100 participants from various countries in the world are participating in the 5-day meeting expected to end on June 23 this year. Emmanuel Samuel, TBC News.
The Indian ambassador to Tanzania, Binaya Pradhan, says his government will cooperate with the Tanzanian government through the Sokoine University of Agriculture to train Tanzanian farmers the best way to cultivate and package their crops so that they can be more competitive in the international market. Here's a report by Remy Asante, read to you by Apasia Bringo.
It is the visit of the Indian ambassador to Tanzania, who arrives at Sokoine University of Agriculture, SUA, Morogoro, with the aim of exploring ways to coordinate joint researches between SUA and some institutions in India. Apart from discussing various issues, the issue of removing obstacles that hinder some of the products of the Tanzanian farmers from reaching foreign markets were discussed widely.
We have agreed to cooperate with institutions, the embassy and the Indian government to teach Tanzanian farmers the best ways to grow crops that the Indian market needs. When they are harvested here in the country, they should know how to pack them so that when they arrive in the Indian market, they will not face obstacles such as lack of quality. The presence of quality in these products will contribute to the availability of good prices and will benefit farmers and the country in general.
Professor Chibunda adds that SUA, in collaboration with the Indian experts, expects to start conducting various studies on infectious diseases from animals to humans.
We have agreed to cooperate on research, especially concerning the problems facing both countries. We have discussed the problem of infectious diseases, considering the fact that these two countries are located in the tropical zone. Diseases of various types are similar to both humans and animals. Therefore, we have agreed to cooperate to solve problems in our countries.
The Indian ambassador to Tanzania emphasized on the continued cooperation between the two sides.
From Tanzania, last year we imported $2.5 billion of commodities, and about $1 billion of that was agricultural commodity, primarily cashew, pigeon peas, soya, green gram, spices. So these are soya, and now avocado, of course, being added.
Before we wind up our local news, let us now take a look at today's exchange rates according to the Bank of Tanzania, BOT. Don't miss TBC News every weekday to know all the latest in exchange rates. Time now for all the latest in international news. Now let's take a look at international news.
Ugandan police have arrested 20 people suspected of collaborating with Islamist militants believed to have attacked a school last Friday. The head teacher and school's director are among the detained. 41 people, mostly students, were killed at Lubiriha Secondary School in Mpondwe in western Uganda. The Ugandan army is still hunting Allied Democratic Forces ADF militants who have reportedly moved back over the border into Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, where they are based. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has called on Israel to immediately cease all settlement activities in occupied Palestinian territory. He says Israel's plan to advance the building of Israel settlements drives tensions and violence. Guterres' comments come after 6 Palestinians were killed and more than 90 were wounded in clashes which erupted when Israel forces raided the Jenin refugee camp in the occupied West Bank yesterday. In a statement issued by the deputy spokesperson for Secretary General, the United Nations Secretary General reiterates that settlements are a deliberate violation of international law. Somalia's government says 43 Al-Shabaab militants, including 2 senior commanders, were killed by Somali National Army forces during a weekend airstrike in the lower Juba region. Reports from Somalia says the attack happened as militants and their commanders gathered to plan attacks against government soldiers at the Barsanguni military base. Statement issued by the Somalia National News Agency says the successful disruption of the planned attack demonstrates the effectiveness of the ongoing efforts to combat Al-Shabaab and protect the people of Somalia. And a pipelaying vessel is at the scene where a tourist submersible were missing with 5 on board while diving to the wreck of the Titanic. The ship has 2 remote control underwater vessels capable of searching for the OceanGate Titan. Reports say contact with the small sub was lost about an hour and 45 minutes into its dive to the wreck site off the coast of Newfoundland, Canada on Sunday. It is thought the crew members have 70 hours of oxygen left at most.
That was international news read to you by Lulua Mohammed and prepared by Dorothy Mari. Time now for sports news. In sports news, the head coach of the Tanzania basketball national team, the Tanzanite, Mohamed Mbwana, says despite losing the last game, the team still has a great chance to qualify for the African tournament this year. Mbwana adds that with the high fighting spirit shown by the players, there is a big chance of winning the remaining 2 matches to achieve the goals of participating in the African competition.
This is the beginning of a great tomorrow. So any success is a process. So by having this kind of support, I think we'll try to figure out what does it need to get more support so that we can reach on the next level or on the highest level. As Tanzanian, we are on the home court. We believe our fans will be behind us, supporting us, and we really appreciate the support. And hopefully we're going to come out victorious.
The Tanzanite battling is on the ongoing Zone 5 competition taking place at the National Indoor Stadium in Dar es Salaam. And if they win the 2 remaining matches, they will qualify for African. In other sports news, the athletic professional Wilhelm Gidabudai says that talents displayed by athletes in ongoing secondary school competition in Tabora indicates that Tanzania will get medals in the coming Olympic tournament. Speaking to TBC News in Tabora, Gidabudai urges Athletics Association of Tanzania and other stakeholders to develop those talents to reach their full potentials so that they can bring medals from international competitions.
We have used many criteria, not only winning. We have discovered that there are many talents. In order to do better, we should not look at the next year's Olympics because we are behind time. But for Los Angeles 2028, we are going to do better if we can prepare well these talents we have identified.
The secondary school competition taking place in Tabora attracts students from different regions to showcase their talents in various sports. That was sports news, and now before we wind up, let us take a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours.
Hello and welcome for the next 24 hours weather forecast from Tanzania Meteorological Authority. My name is Happiness Impunza. And wind forecast shows moderate wind speed along the coastal belt of our country of 30 km per hour. And the flow of wind is expected to be southeasterly over the southern coast and southerly over the northern coast. And we're expecting light winds of 20 km per hour over Lake Nyasa and Lake Victoria. Lake Tanganyika, on the other hand, we're expecting the speed of wind from 20 km to 30 km per hour. Minimum temperatures are expected to range from 7 degrees over Mbeya region to 25 degrees over Unguja Island. And the lowest minimum temperature is expected to be 7 degrees over Mbeya region. And rainfall activities are expected over the Lake Victoria Basin, especially over Mara and Mwanza, where we're expecting isolated thunder showers for tomorrow. Light rain showers are expected over Kilimanjaro, Arusha, and also Tanga, together with the islands of Unguja and Pemba. Other regions in our country are expected to be dry with longer sunny periods. Now it's time for the next 4 days weather forecast for some regions in our country. And this is the end of our weather forecast today. Thank you for watching.
And that's it from us. Thank you very much for watching. I am Faida Ngaga. Good night.
Unaangalia TBC1, ukweli na uhakika.